right? Episode 4 with the wonderful Jean. It is pronounced right, Jean, yeah?
Jean-Paul.
Jean-Paul. What a name. There's a number of conversations I want to have with this gentleman.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Did you hear that? There's a number of conversations. You'll probably see him on a number of times. We just spoke for about half an hour. He told me he was in a rush in the message, right? And then we sat and spoke for about half an hour before I put the recording on. If only you lot could hear the conversation. It was amazing.
That is why I'm always in a rush, because I end up talking too much, man.
Yeah, that's okay. So you say 5:15, start, exactly, half an hour. Half an hour. It wasn't meant to be finished by now, but it is what it is.
And also you greet me with a glass of wine. So I mean, when you greet someone with a glass of wine, what are you supposed to do?
It's Friday.
You know?
It's Friday, weekend ahead.
It could be Monday, glass of wine.
Look at the shirt as well. You can see he's already been relaxing.
You can see
himself.
that, yeah. Start as you mean to go on.
But on a more serious note, this conversation, I spoke with Jean on a number of occasions. Every time we talk, I think it's a positive conversation that, and we talk for ages, every single time.
Always.
And one of the conversations, actually, you know what? Let's go back. This is the second time I said go back. I'm being horrible to Jean. Jean, introduce yourself. Sorry, man.
So I'm Jean-Paul, Jean-Paul Noel Safis, and I'm local in these ends, in this area from the ends, and I've been here for about 8 years. And I'm a business coach, as well as a presenter. So obviously I do a podcast as well, different themes.
I'm on this podcast very soon, hopefully as well. So look out for that one.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, you're towards the end of the series. And I've got 2 kids. I'm a family guy. I'm a single parent, single dad. Family guy, and I've got 2 children, 19 and 15 now, so both teenagers, and generally very, very happy, apart from the COVID has come along and destroyed a lot of my work, which has left me a bit more brassic. But other than that, I'm a happy guy. I'm enjoying life. I've worked hard so far in all areas of my life, whether it's academically, whether it's work, and then with the kids. But my focus at the moment, my brand, what I represent is, and what I advocate is talking about families, and in particular, my relationship with my kids, as well as my parents. But I'm all about families. I'm all about family and family life.
That's why I thought it was important to have you on today.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I love these mics, and thank you very much.
I will get the audio up on this one, just so you can hear the voice. But that's why I thought it was important to have you on. You've gone through a journey that I know personally a number of men have gone on and failed. And your story, I don't know the full story. I know what's happened, but I don't know the full story. So I thought, get you on here. There could be a number of men in your predicament that are struggling to see a light on the other side, but here sits the light who managed to do it. And for everybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, is Jean fought for his children, 50% rights of his children, and managed to get it. Like I said, I don't know the story, and that's what we're going to discuss today. So, Jean, over to you. Where do you start with this?
Where do you start? I think the first thing to really probably get quite clear is that right now in this journey, me and my ex-partner, even though there was a battle, even though there was a fight, today we are, I'd say, amicable, and are what I will call really good co-parents together. So I don't ever think the objective of fighting is to fight for your kids. I think it's to fight for the right to be in your children's life. And therein lies the difference, because the problem is that when you're fighting with someone, we lose sight of that. When you're fighting with someone, the emotions get involved, the feelings get involved.
Between me and you,
100%.
The kids are the main thing.
Yeah, because what happens is your kids is your kids, and becomes, this is my kid. I want my children. And when you're fighting with your missus or your ex-missus, it becomes very embittered. The battle becomes very embroiled in trying to win over the other person. And it's so easy. I don't know anyone who's not lost sight of what you're fighting for, because actually what you're fighting for is for your right to be there. But when you're fighting someone else, do you really keep in mind that what you're fighting for is your right? No, you don't, because what you want to do is you win.
The fight is between me and you.
The fight is between me and you.
This is the prize, and so I've got to beat you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that becomes the problem.
That's the problem,
So
yeah.
how long did the fight last? This was probably a fight. Yeah,
it was a fight. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was a fight at the time. Yeah. You'd be like, yeah. At the time, so we were fighting from even before we split up. But the fight started in the house.
Yeah.
I put in an application for custody, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even apply for shared or joint custody. I applied for full custody of my kids.
Oh, really?
While I was in the house with my ex-partner.
Yeah. Oh, so you hadn't even broken up at this point?
No.
When we're breaking up, I'm not playing games. To be fair, the conversation was talking about war. You don't play games, I know that.
No, I don't. No, I
so
don't.
we're breaking up.
Yeah.
My children are my children as much as they're yours, and I want my children.
100%. Because when we initially talked about breaking up,
yeah.
I could have, I mean, for me it was, when I go back to those days and I think about, I mean, I'm in a different place now. When I go back and put myself in the shoes of those times, yeah. I walk in the house and I pick up a piece of paper and it says that, my ex-partner is divorcing me. And when I discuss it with her and say, look...
This is while you're in the same house?
While we're in the same house, yeah. I mean, we're in separate bedrooms.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So we had some separation in the house already, but I think she just got tired of the situation. And I think as women do, they're quite practical on a number of things. Yeah. Once they cut themselves off emotionally, they go straight on it. And with us guys, we can exist in that lesser emotional state because we are less emotional and less good at relationships.
Just cruise along.
Pretty much. Yeah, man. And it took me a while to get used to cruising, but I was cruising. I was thinking, actually, maybe I have a bit of a life now, but she didn't want that. So she was.
How long was she together?
Altogether, 17 years. But at the time we started the divorce, or she started the divorce proceedings, probably about somewhere in the 16th year.
Okay.
So it was a challenge, and then I saw that, and then I read this papers, and it said mother to stay with. This was her application. Yeah. Children to stay with mum.
That's the trigger, yeah.
now that was the trigger. Yeah. And I ain't gonna lie. I'll tell you the truth. This was the trigger that got my blood boiling.
Yeah.
Because ever since I was a kid, and I didn't really think about this until I saw Will Smith say this recently, and I saw this on one of his posts, and I know Will Smith to be great in terms of family and stuff, and a good role model and those kind of things, despite entanglements or whatever it is.
Well, that could be we could have a chat about that.
We could have, obviously, when I just saw, the confrontation between him and Tupac, I was like, all right, I get certain things. But this whole thing about me being a dad, I wanted to be a dad from young. Even before my missus wanted to be a mum, I wanted to be a dad since I was a teenager, probably even younger.
So what age did you get with your...
So I was 24, and she was 20, just turned 21.
So you're 42 when you're breaking up?
Just a bit under, so about 40, about 41, separate in 40, 41, then we were going...
Sorry, this might change the subject for 2 seconds. So how old are you, John?
I'm 50.
Hey, ladies! Just so you know. Oh yeah, let's go back to the conversation.
Why you got put down there? Edit, I want you to edit that out, man. Sorry. But no, so I looked at that as being something I always wanted to do. From a young age, I knew I wanted to be a dad.
Yeah.
And I thought she was the right one. And, she made a mistake, I made a mistake. Or it wasn't even a mistake, it was not necessarily a lifelong choice. But when I saw the paper and it said on there, children to stay with mum.
Yeah.
Oh man, that stressed me out. And I said to her, listen, and I remember saying to her, I said, over my dead body. I said, it ain't gonna happen.
And that's when you read that. And
and the thing is, I knew straight I had to go and see a lawyer. So I was stressed.
Yeah.
Stressed, man, thinking I'm gonna lose my kids. The fact of the matter is, since I had those kids, every day of my life that I had one of those kids, while I was with those kids in the house, was a day for me of pleasure. Whether it's a case of just getting up in the morning and having breakfast with them, or getting them ready for school, taking them to school.
Being a father.
Oh, I loved it, man. I loved it. Oh, listen, taking my kids to school for me was a pleasure. Being on the Father's Day races for them, picking them up from school, building Lego. Listen, the list is endless. Yeah. And I tell you now, it's not a competition, but between me and my ex-partner, I probably spent more time with them after the age of maybe 1-2 years old, because my job allowed it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So I was doing a job that basically allowed me to work part-time.
Okay.
And for
that,
that,
spend as much time.
yeah, because listen, when I was leaving work, I wasn't even going out with my friends or anything. I was going home to spend time with my kids.
No, that's one of the biggest things I found about my job is that I spend the most amount of time with my children, regardless. And I think, like yourself, I think that develops a different type of relationship because you're not a peripheral parent. You're actually a engaged parent that is taking them to school. You're involved in anything to do with being at home. I don't cook. I don't know if you cook, but I don't cook. But
I'm a great cook.
I contribute. I contribute towards cooking by going shopping on the Sunday. So I kind of do cook. I don't know if my missus agree with that, but I do. But I like to be part of my children's lives.
Yeah, man.
That changes your attitude towards your child in general.
Well, it does, because when I was growing up, my dad was a very strong character, but he was always at home and either fixing things or helping with a dinner or doing stuff with us. Yeah. So that's just, I was just hands on, and I just wanted to have the same relationship with my ex-wife and my kids. Yeah. I didn't even want us to split up. I wanted us to be a proper family. Yeah. So it was number one for me. Taking care of my family was number one. So in this option where I could see, you know, there was going to be a bit of a war and stuff like that, I just knew already that I was going to have to anybody that's going to try and take my kids away from me, I'm just going to have to spark them.
This is a war.
You know, and I don't mean that physically against her. What I mean is just in terms of the battle. I was going to have to, you know, win that because I wanted my relationship with my kids to continue as much as it was, and they meant everything to me.
So I admire the journey, like literally from the day one. It was this is not happening the way you expect this to happen, and it's not going to be that easy.
It wasn't. Then I went to see a lawyer. Next step was I went to see a lawyer. I was very stressed. Lawyer was a shark, and then he just, you know, he ended up, my own mistake, didn't really know what kind of lawyer to choose, and he ended up taking thousands off of me, and then he didn't really do that much, so I had to switch lawyers again to somebody else. But one thing that the lawyer did do for me, which was really good, was because I was living in Croydon, and this lawyer was based in London. So one thing he did was he lodged the custody case in central London. Now there is a difference between lodging a case in central London and lodging a case in Croydon. You wouldn't think it, but there is.
So I know, because I just want to confirm. So she's put in her papers, that's divorce and whatever. You lodged a case where you decide to compete against it.
So she's put in a case for divorce, and in her divorce petition, she's put that she wants the children to stay with her and I have visitation rights. That was never gonna happen. Listen, man, I would have steal my kids and I'd have gone to another. I ain't lying, man. I'd have stolen my kids. It will never happen. I'd have steal my kids and I'd have gone to another country before she would have had. And that isn't to piss her off or to war with her. It's because listen. I hope that's clear. Anyway, so the fact is, when he lodged this case in central London, it now got a little bit competitive, because the thing about launching your case in central London in court is that central London's judiciary system, the legal system, is much better connected to the rest of the world than the local areas like Croydon, Leeds and all that lot.
Almost saying backwards, like country.
Yes. So what's happened is, because in central London, they're much more affiliated with, let's say, European Court of Justice and human rights and all that sort of stuff.
You're entitled to your 50-50.
Yeah, and also their view of things is different. Their actual view of cases and people and all that is different. If you lodged it in Croydon see a lot of, I'm not being horrible, but they see a lot of local people fighting and warring and this, that, and that. It's local stuff. But in the central courts, because they have a lot more legal influence from bigger courts around the world, they're more open-minded. So my case was being heard for custody, ended up being heard by a judge who was much more open-minded. Now, number one, before we even heard the case, a social worker was called into our case, our dispute, because my ex-partner and I were in court, and something came up where there was an issue of domestic violence.
Okay.
So because there was an issue of domestic violence, that's why the social worker was called in to be involved, because they had to check the home, check the kids, check all that kind of stuff. Now, at the end of it, the social worker said, as far as they're concerned, and they looked at this option of putting the children on a protection register and that kind of stuff, if needed.
If the social worker saw a problem.
If they saw a problem. Now, the social worker didn't see any problem. And to be honest, she could barely speak English, so how she could assess whether there's a problem or not. This was the social worker, and I'll come on to what happened to her later on. But in that case, what happened was she presented her report, and she said, no violence. There's a little bit of competitive rivalry between the two parents, as you'd expect.
In the circumstances,
in the circumstances. However, saying that, there's no reason to suspect there's anything else going on.
Yeah.
The kids seem quite healthy. Give them to the mum.
What?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, that's what she said. She said everything's cool.
Everyone's cool. This is cool.
She said
expected behaviour.
Yeah.
But the mum's cool.
But I recommend, this is a social worker's report, I recommend you give the children to the mum, all custody to the mum, and an interim residence order, and allow the dad visitation rights.
On what grounds was that though? Like, how could she almost counter what she said, everything's cool, but the mum's the one?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can say is that social worker had been seconded from India. There's a different cultural and family background in India, where I think most of the time in a breakup, you'd think that the kids sit with a mum.
Yeah.
Most of the time in breakups, you'd think, I think by law, social worker system, the school system, the legal system, they all tend to favour the mother.
And that's why I think this conversation is important, because like I said, I know a number of dads that have tried, failed horribly. You managed to do it. So that, again, to even have the social worker against you, I thought it was almost all plain sailing.
I told you I'm a fighter, man. I told you I'm a fighter. Well, here's the thing. So her report was a very long report, and it was biased. The report was biased, but there was obviously truth in the report as well. And there was a lot of it talking about the competitiveness between me and the mum, which was true. We were competitive. We were both very emotional. We both wanted to win this situation. And you're in a divorce as well. Yeah. And also, in those days, I'm not going to lie, I'll say this on camera, I'll say this on a podcast, I'm not going to lie, I was scared of losing my home. We both knew that if you at least manage to have the rights to your child, you also might have somewhere to live. There is that as well. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
Children, your house, your relationship,
everything.
You're going back to square zero.
Everything, because I also knew if I wasn't allowed to see my kids, I wouldn't be allowed access to my home, to my house. Yeah. I knew I was just being thrown to one side. And I worked hard for 16 years. We both worked hard. She was a hard worker as well. I can't dismiss her for that. She wasn't a freeloader, but. The thing is, I didn't want to be treated unfairly, and I wanted. The reason I was fighting so hard was because I thought if I lose, I'm not going to see my kids or have a home. So, and I always had a home.
So you wanted everything you was entitled to.
Pretty much.
Your children, as well as her children.
Yeah.
And it's your home as well as...
Yeah, and the lawyer said to me as well, he said, look, if you get custody of your children, that also puts you in a better position, because then... not custody, but you have shared custody. You both have equal rights. Then what happens if you need to sell your house or something else? The judge will also think about you both when trying to rehouse you and stuff like that. So I said, okay, well, that's all good, because ultimately I'm thinking about me, my kids, and her as well. I mean, I didn't want her to be on the street. Yeah. But anyway, so the social worker threw it in, spoke in the wheel and said, look, give them to the mum, this, that, and the other. And then the judge read through the report. And I was just reading through the report at the same time as him, so I was looking at my copy and I was thinking, oh shit! I was thinking, I'm fucked. Do you know what I mean? I was thinking, I'm dead here. Yeah. And then no one's giving me any consideration.
The professional has said this.
Yeah, and the thing is, on top of that, at that time I'd been poisoned by mercury, so I was not in a great mental or physical state. I was really struggling. Even going up to the courts, I had some trembles and I had headaches and stuff. So and the stress of the ring. I was probably a number of things. I wasn't.
Of everything.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm a strong. Yeah, exactly. I'm a strong person, but I think being ill at the time and also having that going on, and no one else knew I was ill, because even I didn't know I was ill, because the doctor never found nothing until later on. But when I had the report, even I was thinking, oh my God, I was in a daze. And then a judge looked at me, and there's a male judge.
Yeah.
And I think he was a bit bent. I ain't gonna lie, I think he was a bit bent. You know, he was like, so, what do you think then when you look at this report, Jean-Paul? And I was like, I said, I don't even know, man. I said, look, he said to me, do you agree with this report? And I said to him, in a higher pitched voice, I said, do you agree with this report? And I said to him, no, I don't. And he said to me, neither do I.
Really?
Word, man. I'll tell you now, hand on heart, that's what he said. And I could have kissed him, man. I said to him, when he said that to me, I don't even care what your persuasion is. I'm not homophobic. I said I'd have kissed the guy and hugged him, because he actually said to me, neither do I. He said, from what I can see, you're both trying to do a good job as parents. And here's the thing, Thomas, the key to all this, right? The key to all this is the fact that I initiated this before I left the house.
Yeah. Because
the problem is this, once you leave the house, you don't live there no more. When you don't live in a place no more, your rights are reduced.
So almost
your rights of access.
Yeah, I was about to say, as a piece of advice to everybody else, any man going through this situation is, don't wait. Make that action. Don't leave the home. That home is yours as much as anybody else's. Don't leave your children, because the moment you're leaving the access,
as soon as you're out the door,
you're out the door.
As soon as you're out the door, because listen, wifey's going to be pissed, and I don't blame her. Because at the end of the day, women they're protectors as well. They're nurturing, they're protectors, they want to protect their cubs. So the minute you're at the door, as far as they're concerned, you are not someone to be trusted. Women like you, even if they're giving you grief, they like the fact that you're committed, you're resourceful, you're providing, you're putting your, pound on the table, whatever it is, you're there. The minute you're at the door, especially if you've gone off with another woman, I ain't gonna lie, man, as far as they're concerned, you do not care.
But even then, the law, once you've left the home,
you're right.
You kind of said that you're
done.
Moved,
you're done. Once you've left the place, you're done, mate.
So use all your rights that you have. Keep them as long as possible.
While you're in the place, I'm telling you now, while you're in the place is where you have 50%. And while you have that 50%, that's your best chance, your best shot to try and get your access to your children sorted out.
I suppose it also looks good that there's no, like I said, obviously they've come in domestic violence, but the police haven't been called to move you away from the house. There haven't been no issues with regards to children. So
there wasn't any serious issues with the children, which is what the social worker established, but we did have police come to our house.
And they didn't take you out or move you on?
Well, no, I got arrested once.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it arrest, actually. It was going down to help with questioning. And I was interviewed by the police for a couple of hours. And then at the end of that, they let me go back home. But she also had an issue with the police once, where she was, asked to leave the house. So listen, we both had issues at that time because, and I don't think, when I look back, I don't think it was because we were both bad people, but we were both very stressed. And I think we needed help, but we didn't know where to get it from. It's a very intense situation because we've been together a long time. There was no peers, there was no one close enough to us to be able to step in and say, yo man, chill, let's talk. We didn't have anyone. In that situation, it's very difficult.
So it's crazy to think. So you'd go to court and then come home to each other.
Yes. You go to court, and then basically come home.
So you come, you're actually
with the children, yes.
One person here in this dock, one person in that dock.
Yeah.
I should be taking my children.
Yeah.
No, I want my children.
Yeah.
I'll see you at home in an hour.
Yeah. Listen,
that's unreal.
I'm going to tell you something. It was the loneliest.
Yeah.
Listen, ain't no relationship. There's no relationship on this planet. Being in a bad relationship is more lonely than being on your own. I'm going to tell you now.
Yeah. Being
on your own, you feel like you've got more going on than being in a bad relationship. And we were in a bad relationship. We couldn't get on. I mean, today we're much better and we've worked on that. But, in those times we were both equally, I wouldn't say any one of us was more at fault than the other. She was using what she knew to manipulate the situation, and so was I. because we both didn't want to lose, what we had. But the thing is, here's the thing: you got to give ground, because you can't have it all. You can't have your house, your kids, and a freedom from the other person. And that's what we're both trying to do.
And so you're battling for the same thing.
Pretty much. And the thing is, I think I could have sat down with her and talked about it with her reasonably. I'm pretty sure I could have. But once I saw the papers saying kids to stay with mum, I didn't trust her no more.
So how long did the process take?
Too long. The judge tried to hurry it up, and then he bounced the case back to Croydon anyway to finish it off. I'd say probably about 6-7 months. It took a couple of hearings, 6-7 months.
I know, even though you said that's quite a long time.
Because you're living it day to day.
I know a few people have been doing it for longer.
Working on the outside.
That was quite quick, considering to how, like I said, living it day to day, you're in the same house, like the pressure, it must have felt like forever.
The pressure, peak pressure.
Ridiculously.
Peak, because you live in the same house. But once, I was already planning to move, and then once I got the paper stamped, I was like, yeah, I can move now. But I wasn't moving until
I got what I was entitled to.
Until I got that,
which was my children.
Yeah, which is my children.
I do not move.
Yeah. And then I knew I was okay to go. And the judge turned around and he packaged it all nicely, spoke to us both. She had a legal person there. I was just on my own. And then, it was a case of handover's going to be Thursdays. The children will come to you on Thursdays.
Packaged it very nicely.
Yeah.
So the people you had dealing with your case, at the high end, obviously, you had somebody that messed you around, but still set it up in a good court. Yeah. But the judges seem to have been very open to this.
Yeah, but the central court judge was.
Yeah.
Even when I got divorced, they roasted me in Croydon. Really? I got roasted in Croydon. Yeah, listen, I got grilled. I ain't gonna lie, barbecue, grill, I got everything. But in the central court with that guy, the judge, he was brilliant, because he did turn around and say, look, handover will be, what day is good for you both? And we were like, okay, Thursdays. And we could have done this with a mediator for a lot less money. But he said, Thursday handover. Yeah. It will go to you for a week. Both the boys will come to you for a week. And then, both the boys will go back to their mum for a week. And Christmas, this is what will happen between Christmas and New Year. Yeah, and birthdays is what will happen. Everything. Everything. There was no...
if either of you don't stick to it?
Well, we did stick to it, but if it didn't, then it would be a contravention of the court order, and in theory, the person could take you back to court.
And that's when court can say fines, prison, community service. You can be actioned in the court. But
realistically, what the court would do is they'd say, look, they'd probably slap you across the wrist, and also you've got to take the time out, a day off to go to court. You don't really want that.
No one don't really want that.
Not for the sake of your kids coming home a day later.
So I know you live locally. We're not going to give out the address or nothing like that.
We don't want that. No, even for this place.
I don't know where your partner is, but I know it's locally as well.
She's my ex-partner. She's about probably about a minute's drive. Yeah.
Did either of one of you move intentionally closer, or was it something that
initially when I moved out, the only place I could get was a flat which was about 3-4 miles away in Bromley. Yeah. So I did struggle a bit at that time because it was a bit of a distance. Yeah. But then I moved back specifically after about 9 months.
I'm just going to say apologise now. If you're on recording, hello, you probably only got another 4 minutes left. The audio, you keep going, innit? Well done. Lucky you. But this will be up anyway, no matter what. You know what? I'm sorry where we left. I can't even remember. I'm sorry, John.
No, it's fine. I know we were talking about... my son, it was the last couple of minutes I was talking about my kids anyway, just saying they've grown up and stuff like that. But here's the thing, just to reiterate, the key thing as a parent, as a dad, if you want to be with your kids, the time to actually make that fight, to fight for them, is when you're in the house. Once you leave the house, your rights reduce. Once you wait another 6 months for you to get it together, settle down, wait till the ex-missus calms down, all that stuff, you're letting the time go. Your rights are even more reduced. By the time you come to the court says, well, how often have you seen the kids? And you say,
well, restricted your access.
Yeah, man, that's the thing.
In the home no more.
Right, and the thing is, she's doing naturally what anyone would do. She ain't going to sit there. You've been arguing and fighting. You've left. So why is she going to say, come in as when you please? She's got to protect herself and her home. Do you understand? So if you want those rights, you've got to fight for them before you leave, not after. It's too late.
Fight before you leave.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, there's one more question I'm going to ask Sean before I round up what we've heard from him today. Again, I'm sorry if you've missed some impactful stuff because I was fascinated. That's why it took so long to look up. But I finally did look up. How has your parenting changed since they've grown up as well? Because how old's your youngest boy?
He's 15 now.
15, so he's starting to hang out with friends more. And is there a thing of like, yeah, you know what, Dad, I'm going to hang out with my friends. Even though you live close together, Dad, I'm just going to stay with my mum's this week. Is it something you've had to adapt for?
No, there's nothing like that at all. If anything, my eldest son came to live with me for 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then he's gone to live with his mum.
Yeah.
And then he's going to move out. And my younger son came to live with me for 8 months.
Yeah.
And then he got back to his mum's because he decided he'd like to do the week on, week off thing. Ultimately, all that matters is your kids are happy, man. If they decide they want to go and spend time with their mum, so be it. Yeah. It don't really matter because the thing is we talk every day. Yeah. And as long as you've got that relationship, it doesn't really matter where you are. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but when they were small, definitely. I wanted them to be in my house.
But while it's their decision, they can make the choice.
They can make their decision.
While they're small, we're making this decision
100%,
for them.
100%.
So this is 50-50.
It is, man. It is.
You know what, Jean, that is an amazing and powerful conversation. There's so many more things that we could talk about. Like, I want to talk about entanglement, but
if we had the memory,
yeah, we'll leave that for another day. The memory's running. I can watch the timer as we've got 30 seconds to finish this off.
To say goodbye.
Jean, what was your podcast called again?
10 Minute Man. 10 Minute Man.
10 Minute Man. So you search 10 Minute Man. I will at him on everything that I put out. It's been a pleasure talking to him. It's been a pleasure you lot watching. Look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great one.
Bless you, man.
See you now.
I like that, man. Enjoyed that. So let the time go when we talk.